Today is Tuesday, May 1st, 2012, and this is the next episode of the Pastel Pony Podcast. I am your host, Poste Sueños, and I apologize if I'm a little subdued today. This is my first day off in 6 days, and I do it again next week. Yay! I hate it so much. You don't even know. Oh, but that's okay because I have ponies, and ponies help. The review will not be super long, but I have one as opposed to last week because I had the chance to watch it 2 more times and let it sink in, or rather listen, as I will explain momentarily. But, newsy things first. First of all, there is a most amazing thing on DeviantArt. I apologize to the creator because I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce your name. It confuses me. Although I would want to say it's Chirachi or something similar to that. Has created a fancy little thing that you load it up and you click it and it will either give you, I think it just gives you a random episode. It will just show you a random episode and take you to the YouTube link for a season 2 episode. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. Check it out. It's really cool. Another thing. Epic Wub Time. If you haven't seen it, it's done by the people who do Epic Pie Time and Epic Cupcake Time. And it's amazing. It's one of the first fan things with a voice for Octavia and Vinyl Scratch. Both of them are very well done. I accept them far more than I would have accepted anything I tried to do, which makes me glad because I love them so much that I don't want to find voices for them. But it's really cool, it's hilarious, and inspired a piece of fan art that I spent about 15 to 20 hours in the past week working on. That is another reason I am so tired. I need to not work so hard, but, you know. Anyways. Speaking of working hard, today you get past sins. 2 weeks from today, announcement time. Special, most wonderful announcement time. I have lines for Luna. An Equestrian Invasion is getting finished. It will be... I am forcing myself to finish it by saying it is what goes up next. 2 weeks from today, an Equestrian Invasion. It's probably going to be about an hour long. Sound effects, original music, guest voices from... guest music from Command Spry, guest voices from Doomwad, Deep Thought, a couple of my fans, as well as the amazing Rina-chan, who you've all heard if you've watched any of the animations that have been done. She's been in almost everything. She's been Twilight in the Dot Move stuff, as well as in Epic Wub Time, and she's playing Luna and the Police Mare, and I could not be more thrilled. And it's just... I am so happy that after 5 months, I can actually finish it. I'm so close now. All I need to do is find some free time to work on it, which I never have, but that's okay. And another most important announcement. Very, very, very special. I have gotten the green light to go ahead and discuss this with you guys. I have been working on a project with a bunch of bronies and several non-bronies for the better part of a year now. I am not only one of the voice actors, I have been helping with voice direction. I have brought on many of the people who are going to be involved in the project from the voice standpoint, by which I mean I brought on one person who brought on a bunch of other people. The project itself is going to be a fully functional fighting game. We are getting ready for an alpha release. If all goes according to plan and all goes well and the game actually sells in, a couple of months when we're done with it, I will actually be taking the voice director position, hopefully, in this company. And we may even start doing animes instead of games. It is called Invocation of Awesome. And if you find it on the Facebook page, if you actually like Facebook, I'm going to post a link to this. It, very important, will be announcing something very soon. They haven't even told the people on the project what it is yet, but I'm guessing it's either a teaser trailer or the alpha. So, if you are interested in fighting games or interested in seeing me getting paid to do voice work, one day, hopefully, check it out. It is basic concept. I'm going to try to stick to vague details because I promised the project director that I would. It is supposed to have internet-based humor, be very silly, and a contest of imagination from fighters from around the galaxy. I am excited. The game is called... Well, I can't tell you what the game is called, but Invocation of Awesome. Look at it. That said, I actually have a couple of reviews for you this week. I finished the latest chapter of Project Horizons and Death Note Equestria, but they're so far in that you would be reading them if you wanted to. I'm not even going to bother trying to convince you anymore. So what I'll say instead, I finally finished, and I apologize that it took me so long, but you guys know it does. I finally finished the first chapter of Ponies of the Five Rings and started the second one. It is quite a bit far away from canon, but very interesting. Really deep, mythical, legendary sort of fantasy feel to it. I realize that it's a crossover with, I believe, Legend of the Five Rings. I honestly haven't read it, but I love the world that's being created here, and there are very few, if any, mistakes in the writing, which, if you guys are as deep into reading fanfiction as I am, you know that that's special. But in addition to that, it's just really cool in terms of the setting, because everything's broken up into clans, and there's sort of the samurai feel and ancient Japan, China stuff going on. It's fancy. And the characters are more or less the same in terms of personality, but their relationships are very different than they are in the show. Obviously, because the world itself is very different. And even in the first chapter, you see this giant wall erected and Discord amassing an army to attack the capital. It's got a really, really awesome feel to it, and I'm going to continue with it. Also, finished Chapter 1 of Silence is Bittersweet, as well as part of Chapter 2. I try so hard. I really do try very hard to go through these things quicker, but I just can't. Either way, I love the fact that Acoustiana is finally getting friends. And it's a very happy, light feeling in contrast to all of these dark things that I seem to read. I don't know why that's all I ever read. I don't know why it's all I ever make. Look at some of my fan art. My fan art's all weird and surreal and dark. I don't even know. But anyways, so yeah, it's very happy, very light, and very encouraging. At least compared to what I normally read. And finally, yeah, speaking of that, we get to the last thing that I review this week. Honestly, I have to say that I may record this at some point, because this is probably one of the best fics I've read since I started in the fandom. I probably ought to go and actually get the name of the author, but it's not going to happen in this. Still, I shall link to the fic. It's called Pinkie Pie Watches Paint Dry. I read in the description that someone challenged the author to see if they could write a fan fiction that was deep, philosophical, and somewhat introspective from Pinkie Pie's perspective, sort of existential almost, and make it good. I was hooked just on the description alone, knowing going in that it would probably be one of the worst things I'd ever read. This was not the case. It actually did an absolutely amazing job of capturing the psyche of a pony like Pinkie and what she should actually probably think like. Because the main plot is just that she has gone catatonic in her room after painting it a different color because she has essentially taken away its identity. It was the orange room Now it's the pink room, but it's the pink room that was once orange. And I can't even begin to describe just how mind-bending this is. And at the end of it, she has this sort of self-realization that makes her okay with it. And that, it wraps up in a neat little package. It's just a one-shot, and it is well worth the time to read. It's pretty short, too. But, as I said, I may, given the opportunity, many weeks from now, actually try to read it, should there be any interest from you, the fans. Now, 2 more things left. 1, I have to talk to you about the episode, and 2, I have to talk to you about the season review. Okay, I have had enormous interest from people who weren't even subscribed to me until later, until after they told me that they were interested in being a part of this. So, I have decided, tentatively, I'm not positive on my work schedule. It's got to be after that next 6-day stretch, though. What I think I'm going to do, and as we get a little bit closer to it, I'll give you more details as I try to work through the schedules of my friends in real life who want to be a part of it. What I think I'm going to do is create a massive Skype call. Anyone who is free that wants to be in on it, let me know, and I will try to get you in there. However, I am only working around real-life people's schedules. If you can make it, awesome. If you can't, I'm sorry. But I'm not going to try to orchestrate something that takes... Let me put it this way. Penstroke and I talked for almost 3 months just to find a time that would work well for him, Batty Gloom, and I. Me. Grammar. Fighting me. Sleep deprivation also fighting me. Point being, that's 3 people. Trying to work this out with like 10 people via Skype and different time zones is going to be a nightmare, so I'm not going to do it. Instead, if you're free and online, then you can get in on it. And if you're not, I'm sorry. However, if you want to be in on it and think that you're not going to be able to make it physically, internetorially, electronically, I suppose that's more appropriate as a word. If you don't think you're going to be able to make it electronically, but you want your input heard, I'm going to make it very informal. I'm not going to guide the discussion much. It's just going to happen. So if you want things to input, just send me random emails and we'll work it out. vozdesueños@gmail.com, VOZDESUENOS@gmail.com, and we'll do it. Similarly, send me a message or an email if you want in on this, and we'll figure it out. But, like I said, not for at least 2 weeks. I've got to get through the next couple days, and then the 6-day stretch after I have a little tiny weekend. I want to finish an Equestrian Invasion. I want to get through that 6 days, and then sometime fairly soon after that, in that week or so, that's when I'll try to do it. That's when we'll try to get it recorded. I will talk to my friends in real life, and I will talk to the people who have already expressed interest. That includes Command Spry, Lightning, who honestly I don't remember your oh, hey, that's another thing. So many things. So many things I have to talk to you people about. Lightning has a channel devoted to doing reviews, both of fanfics and episodes. While doing the piece of fan art for Epic Whoop Time, this morning was actually listening to their review of the final episode. And I thought it was both interesting and fair. And should you feel so inclined, you should definitely check their channel out. It's one more piece of awesome media to get you through this drought. Speaking of which, drought? Really? Have you guys looked at Equestria Daily? Have you seen the internet? This is not a drought, my friends. This is creative fires set up to 1 billion. I honestly believe, as I did last time, that this is actually the busy season for us. This is not the downtime. The downtime is a result more of when people are scared that canon is going to ruin the fanon. And so they let it happen and react accordingly. As opposed to now, when we have several months without canon, where we can just make whatever we want. And we're going to. And we do. And we will. I'm sure that Pony Ruru and DeviantArt have also exploded. So, all I can say is, if you're worried about this, don't be. As you hear Nikki barking in the background, maybe. And we come to the finale of the episode for the time being. The end of the season review. What I have to say has already been said by Serial Velocity and PK and Sethisto and Lightning and hundreds of other bronies. So, I will keep this short and sweet and basically gloss over most everything, because what will come will probably also come again in the season review. So, without further ado, spoilers, you've had a week. Honestly, if you haven't seen it yet, you should go watch it right now. Stop watching this. Stop listening. Go watch it. Oh, what to say, where to even begin? Vinyl scratches eyes. The sandwich thing. Facial expressions, the music. There's the plot. It's the crazy amount of things added to canon. There's just so much. Also, one of the greatest things that I saw, I suppose this is where I'll begin my review. One of the greatest things that I saw happened maybe 2 or 3 days after the episode aired. And it was an image on Facebook of random screen captures from the episodes, from the Canterlot wedding, which said things like international border disputes and imprisonment and mind control and all of these wonderful things that are so very dark. Obviously, I'm sure you can tell that I really enjoyed the episode because of how dark it was. It had a much different tone than most of the show, and one of the things I've heard people saying that I have to agree with is that it felt rushed. It resolves very quickly and very simply for something that has an immense setup, and I do not blame the team for this. I honestly think that it's more a constraint of the hour that they had to do it in than it is of the episode or the talent of the writers and animators. It's resolved a little quickly, and I admit that, but it happens. On the whole, it feels like a Disney movie, like a 2.5 hour long epic with songs and good character development and villains, but there are still problems with it. I will not give this episode a grade or a numerical sort of review or anything. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it. There are errors in consistency. I am with everyone who's been saying, if Twilight was so close with her brother, why haven't we heard about him before? I understand that it's sort of a plot device to get things moving and stuff, but just a couple of lines about how they grew apart would have fixed everything. They didn't need to build up this "we were so close" and everything until about a week ago. We were close until I moved to Ponyville, and then we didn't talk forever. And I don't even know what to think about that. Between the ending being so very rushed and that, those are really the only qualms I have with the episode. That and that I would have liked to see more development on the international political scene, but that's because that's what I do. I wanted to know more about that. Where did they come from? Where did they get shunted off Team Rocket style back to? And why don't we know about it? If there's something that can feed off of a little bit of love and become stronger than Celestia, I want to know about it. The default plan is to have the elements of harmony take care of this, and Twilight was a Gatling gun. Twilight was a freaking Gatling gun, and they still failed. And Celestia failed. But then Magic love beam of justice! Fear this burning hoof of mine! That's... yeah. There's just little things here and there that make me really curious that I want to see more of, and my eye is twitching now because I need to know, and they didn't tell me. But on the whole, they didn't have enough time, and this is a children's show. They don't need to answer everything. It'd be nice if they would answer everything, but they won't. That said, I absolutely loved this episode. The script name, as Stephen Magnet is the script name for the Sea Serpent, the script name for the villain is Queen Chrysalis, which I'm sure you've all seen by now, or Queen Chrysalis, depending on who you're talking to. I love mind control. It is fantastic. And I love when his eyes went all, ooh. I wish I could make the sound with my mouth, but I can't. Shining Armor seemed like an awesome older brother. Oh, yeah, that was another thing. I don't know how many of you have siblings, but if there's a single one of you that has a sibling and the two of you have never fought, I want to know. I want to know because I don't believe it. Even Shining Armor and Twilight are clearly at least a few years apart because he's almost fully grown when they're kids. But still, siblings fight. Little siblings are annoying. Big siblings are generally bullies because they want to be the parents but can't be. This isn't always true, but it doesn't happen. Even in Equestria, it doesn't happen. Obviously it does, but they had a fight during this episode, so you know. And harsh, man. That was so harsh when Shining Armor basically disowned Twilight. Haven't they learned to listen to Twilight sometimes? Really? Celestia apparently never reads Twilight's letters. That's the friendship lesson I'm learning, is Twilight's wasting her time with those friendship lessons. And that lesson 0 taught no one anything. See, these are all the inconsistencies that are popping up that people are noticing. And this is one of the reasons that I wanted to wait a week, because in the afterglow and bliss of that episode, because, don't get me wrong, I'm about to get to the fun stuff. In the afterglow and bliss of that, you can't give a fair and unbiased review, because there are just so many things that make it amazing that you try not to see the things that are confusing and don't make sense. It's easier with a half-hour episode that you can watch a couple of times, give it a few days, and then it calms down. But with something that production-wise is on par with a Disney movie, where the music is just phenomenal, and they give the fans almost everything they want to see, it's hard to be unbiased. And so that's why I'm saying there's a lot of moments in there that are very, very iffy. I don't know. Oh well. On to the better parts. Oh, 3 songs. 3 wonderful, glorious songs. And I love the fact that Daniel Ingram intentionally put in something in This Day aria called a deceptive cadence. I, unfortunately, had the misfortune of being on Facebook and seeing that there were changelings before I got a chance to watch the episode. So when Mobius and I sat down and watched it, I knew that she was evil to begin with. Honestly, based on the way that Cadence was acting, it would have been obvious immediately, if not as soon as her horns started glowing green. Regardless of the fact that a unicorn's magic doesn't need to match their color scheme, there's still foreshadowing with the sort of glowy green evil vibe coming off of Cadence. Beyond that, Queen Chrysalis, oh, best villain ever. I love the deceptiveness, all right up until the end, when she starts monologuing. Villains have to monologue. Why? Why do villains have to monologue? Villains don't have to monologue. If I were a villain, I would kill the heroes immediately, and be done with it, and then continue on my way. If I wanted to talk to someone, I would find someone within my ranks, monologue to them, but leave out the important bits so that they can't copy the plan and or kill me and take over. It's not that hard to be a good villain. There are dictators around the world who do it very well, for years, decades even. So, cartoon villains, why do you monologue? Why do you monologue? It's a plot device, I understand it's a plot device, but isn't there some way without monologuing that the heroes can have an honest chance to win? Or is it that depressing? Is real life that bad that the heroes don't often win? I don't know. I'm not even sure. But 3 songs this day, they're all amazing. Like, I can't even begin to fathom where that amazing music comes from. And the facial expressions and the animation and the voice acting and the things, and I'm not even making sense anymore. And so I'm going to wrap it up. The just phenomenal episode blew my expectations right out of the water. I honestly believed it was going to be like Grand Galloping Gala, which, please don't hate me, I didn't like that much. The very beginning of the episode and the very end of the episode are hilarious, but I can't stand the point where they're at the gala. And I was afraid it was going to be another sort of mushy thing like that, which is why I'm so glad that it was very, very dark and contrasted that, and had a lot of villainous undertones. And the Doctor! I want to see a fanfic detailing the Doctor's role in all of this as he runs around the city with a sonic screwdriver that I'm sure he should have had. But does that not, for those of you who watch Doctor Who, does that not feel like a Doctor Who episode right there? There's just this immensely important thing going on, and all of a sudden the Doctor's just in the thick of it, running around with changelings that no one's ever heard of. That was another thing I really liked about the episode, is while he only showed up briefly, that was hilarious and fantastic. Also, one more thing that I forgot to mention, Bat Cult. Mobius and I had a moment of rare psychic linkage during the episode where I shouted, "Pause it," and said, "Do you know who that looks like?" And as I was about to say Bruce Wayne, he shouted Bruce Wayne at me. There is a cult in several background scenes during the wedding that looks like Batman. And then right next to him, in another scene, is a mare that looks kind of like Selena Kyle, who's Catwoman. Just look for it. Seriously. It's a Batman pony. There's a Batman pony. Awesome stuff. And final scratch with all the wubs. And I don't know why, but I really liked Pinky's hair because it kind of looked a little bit like dreadlocks. So when she just started, she looked so at home behind that scratching booth. I have stopped making sense. This is a long podcast that I'm not looking forward to editing. And it's already 4 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon Eastern Time, which means it's very late for some of you, and Past Sins, while edited and rendered, is not up yet. So I am going to stop right here. Excellent episode. Good season. Things to come. Magic things. Wonder things. I will see you on the flip side. Safe travels, every pony. Till next time.